Today we're going through the display and the controls menu of MorphWiz. So go to Menu, open up the display. MorphWiz allows you to use 7 different backgrounds. I prefer this vortex with the stars in the background. The reason I like it so much is that if you start to get really busy on the screen and play really fast, the vortex swirls and swirls and swirls and stars start shooting out all over the place. I just think that's trippy and cool, so I use the vortex. Anyway, you can change in here the size of the wave as you go up the grid. The display of the wave changes, so if you want to see at 100% volume a massive, huge square wave, or you might want a smaller square wave. Totally up to you. Pitch lines, if you like them dark, crank it up. If you like them not so dark, crank it way down or turn it all the way off. Next, over here we have note labels. You can turn both of them off, top or bottom, and this in combination with no pitch lines will give you a very plain display. If you'd like to have the scale degrees displayed instead, you could do that on the top or at the bottom, or both. Let's leave it at both. The touch point can have a couple of different shapes to it too. This is the point, but you could also have this ring, or the fire, little star, or duplicate the wave that's being played, or turn it completely off. I really like the ring. The preset name will turn the preset name on at the top or off at the top. If you look on the top up here, it says MorphWiz, but it also says it on the bottom too. So if you go back here and you turn it off and you go back to the display, it's gone from the top, but it's still on the bottom. Let's leave it off. So going on to controls. This is about how much clutter you want on your screen. It's best to turn off all of the things that you're not going to use. So if you're not going to use delay, just turn it off and those display buttons won't appear on your display when you go to play. If you want the preset selector off or the pitch buttons, you can look at those. Lock and round. I usually keep these on. I also like to keep the octave buttons on and the note selector on up at the top. If I do this, now I can choose what note is lowest in the display. So if I want C to be my lowest note, since I'm in the key of C, I can have C be the lowest note. Maybe I want it to be D as my lowest note, or F. And then if I'm playing along and I want to jump octaves, I can just hit the octave selector. The other option is to turn on this octave selector. So if you have the octave selector on, then you can choose what octave you're going to be in by sliding this red rectangle around. Notice that the lowest note stays as the one that I chose already. It's F. So if I go back to the menu button and I choose my lowest note to be F, maybe I'll change it to be back in C. So now I'm at C again, and I'll choose the octave selector. And by the way, if you're doing this, you probably won't need this display. So now I have one long piano roll up at the top, and I can hop around octaves this way. You may or may not want the preset selector on. I usually leave it off because once I've got a preset set up for a song, I usually play the entire song in the one preset, or I do another track. But that looks like this, where I can scroll back and forth between these different presets. And you'll notice now we're back into the default preset. When I had started this little video, I was in the key of C from here. And because I left the preset without saving it, it defaulted back to its original settings. So here we are back at controls. Make sure you save your presets if you want to save all of your settings by hitting this preset button. Save. The magic slider is next. It's now set to control the chorus settings. So whatever settings I have in chorus are going to be controlled by the slider here. The rate is controlled by the magic slider as I go up and down. If I go back and I change it to my FM, then when I go into synth, it's currently set to pure wave. So if I change it to FM, then my magic slider is going to affect the modulation depth. Next, I can decide whether I want to have all these controls displayed on the left or on the right. Very handy. Okay, that's it. Answer the questions, and you're done. Thanks.